Thank you. New question. The member from Manchester, Dundas, Flamborough and Westdale.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Minister of Community and Social Services. I know it's a priority of this government to help survivors of human trafficking heal and rebuild their lives and to prevent human trafficking from occurring in the first place. Last year, the government created Ontario's first-ever strategy to begin to tackle this horrendous crime. This past week, I was pleased to learn about the new funding that was rolled out to support community partners across this province in their efforts to combat human trafficking and support survivors. The Native Women Incorporated Hamilton Wentworth received over $700,000 to support their emergency shelter, transportation needs, and culturally respectful care. I was pleased to be able to announce that in Hamilton, Speaker. Speaker, could the minister please tell us more about the funding announced at last week's announcement?
Thank you. Minister of Community and Social Services.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the member for his question and for his continued advocacy to support survivors of violence in the Hamilton area. I was pleased to announce last week that our government will be providing funding through both the Anti-Human Trafficking Community Supports Fund and the Indigenous-led Initiatives Fund of almost $19 million towards 45 projects aimed to provide wraparound services and supports to survivors of human trafficking. Mr. Speaker, this is the first time that funding like this has been available on this scale in Ontario or even anywhere in Canada. I'd like to thank everyone in the anti-human trafficking community who have assisted us with our strategy and with the need to create these funds. Our partners have told us how important it was for Ontario to move forward on our strategy. Last week's announcement is just the latest step. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Speaker, I want to thank the minister for the great answer. I also want to thank all the service providers that work tirelessly to put an end to this crime and to ensure survivors have the supports that they need and that we can all play a part. Ending human trafficking is a very important step towards ensuring survivors can live safely, free from threat, fear of experience or exploitation and violence. We know that service providers, Speaker, law enforcement officers, and our government play a great role in making this happen. Human trafficking affects some of the most vulnerable people in our society, and that is why I am pleased that the government has launched its $72 million strategy to end human trafficking last year. And I'm sure that the additional funding announced last week through the community supports will help. Could the minister please update the House on continued government efforts to support survivors and put an end to this ongoing crime?
Thank you.
Minister of the Status of Women.
The Minister of Status of Women.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the member for this important question and for being a strong advocate for his community. Speaker, human trafficking is a brutal crime that affects the young and vulnerable in our communities. It is absolutely unacceptable, and it's something I want you to know that we are working hard to fight with our community partners. That's why I was so pleased to be along with my colleague as we announced that part of a funding announcement that gives, we are giving vital assistance to dozens of organizations on the ground who work tirelessly to protect and support survivors. Speaker, this funding gives support and resources to groups who are dealing with survivors of this heart-wrenching crime. But Speaker, I want you to know that our work to end human trafficking doesn't stop there. So here are some of the things we're doing. In addition to the Anti-Human Trafficking Act that allows for restraining orders and compensation, we're also creating a new Human Trafficking Lived Experience Roundtable. We've also enhanced funding to 47 service partners through the Victim Crisis Assistance Program and expanded the Victim Witness.